is Gilbert White Jr. I'm 20 years old and I live in downtown Albuquerque. I attended school at the Institute of American Indian Arts to obtain a certificate in business and entrepreneurship, and I'm currently a freelance artist with a background in acrylic painting, illustration, graphic design. I'm just currently pursuing an apprenticeship at a tattoo shop to pursue tattooing. So I've pretty much always been doing art ever since I was in school, mostly for projects related to schoolwork. I would draw on my notes or decorate my binders, but in high school I started taking some art classes and discovered a love for painting and using color. So after that, once I went to college, I was exploring different options and different interests of mine, such as math, science, philosophy, and for some reason I couldn't see myself doing those long term into my career future, but I really was continuing and developing my art style, and I decided that I would start pursuing art professionally because I really just wanted to do what I love and to make an impact on people's lives through my artistic abilities. So that's when I decided to pursue art and business. So in terms of inspiration, I pull inspiration from a lot of different sources, mainly from personal experiences, my personal identity, and just beautiful things I see in the world, in the natural world. I use a lot of geometry in my work. I love thinking about composition, so I use different shapes and symbols, and I also like to pull inspiration from my own culture as a Native American, a Navajo individual. So I have this guy, for example. It's a print of an acrylic mural that I did. The mural is much larger, it's 6 by 8 feet in real life on 2 plywood boards, but I love the composition. I tried to make it mimic a Navajo weaving, which I'm very inspired by weavings. And then I added some personal experience in there, a landscape of the Sandia Mountains that I used to see when I was growing up at my childhood home, some balloons inspired by Native American pottery, Navajo designs and stuff, and yeah, just in general colors that I really enjoy working with. And down here is an older painting, something that I don't really show to too many people because it was a work in progress. I was drawing roads a lot at the time to represent fate, and I call this guy actually Fate, the future, fate. And then I just added in some elements that I really wanted to fill the space with, such as designs in the background, this moon that just adds some, surreal imagery, and then some puzzle pieces down here which are fading into nothing. I still really like this piece. It's not one of my bests, but it reminds me a lot of my thought process when I first started painting. This down here, which is a color pencil drawing, and I was working spontaneously with shapes and just decided to draw. After I drew the shapes, I decided to use some knowledge that I was learning in my environmental studies class to create this artwork. I see myself as this little monkey in the middle, pondering all the rest of what the beautiful world has to offer. And then I have this one up here, which is another piece inspired by Navajo weavings. I just used a lot of symbology that's important to my culture, my Navajo culture. I used things like the hourglass, the bow, which represent 2 characters in a warrior twins myth in Navajo culture. I also used these plus signs to represent Spider-Woman, who helped teach women how to weave and helped weave reality as we know it, and other just symbols of my own, like this spiral, which I try to include in most of my works because I believe the spiral is the mark of creation. And yeah, just try to play with color, composition, and design in general. And then over here I have something very spontaneous. It's I was practicing different techniques, so I used Pointillism to expand a postcard actually. So there's a postcard in the middle which started the inspiration, and then I just expanded it and added my own elements such as pattern and natural elements that I would see in the world. And then up here is one of my favorite pieces from high school. This piece I titled Pagan, Circles, and Eternal Deja Vu, and it was one of my earlier pieces in high school, inspired by a lot of things that I was learning about in school. So I used a lot of symbology, and I was playing with composition as well as color theory. So it's really just packed with meaning. I see myself as this middle guy going through life in a trance, being guided by my higher genius and creative spirit. I really like this piece because it reminds me a lot of things I was learning back then, and it also helped me realize my love for painting and my passion that I wanted to pursue in the future. So one thing I really like to do is design clothing and upcycle clothing. I first started doing this because for one thing, I like to go thrifting a lot and buy my clothing secondhand because I have a really specific style and aesthetic that I like to decorate my body with. And I wasn't really finding exactly what I wanted out in thrift stores. So that's what kind of started my clothing journey. I really just wanted to design things that I would want to wear personally. I started out airbrushing shirts. I did a lot of graffiti work, just lettering and simple branding, just playing with colors and seeing how that went. I did some airbrushed shirt commissions, and I really had a lot of fun with that, but it was a lot of work to airbrush every single shirt and sell it for a reasonable price. So I decided to get an iPad so I can easily design things from my own home and then just send it out to a local screen printer to make my designs a reality. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. I usually sell at vending events such as Albuquerque Art Walk at the first Friday of every month, or just smaller events at local galleries and small businesses. But it's been a lot of fun. I've gotten to the point where I like to upcycle my shirts by hunting for blank t-shirts at thrift stores and then adding my own designs. I've come out with maybe 5 or 6 different designs, and I have a lot of fun with it because I can pretty much curate exactly what I imagine myself wearing. And it's really fun to see other people decorating their own bodies with my work too. And I love fashion, and I love contributing to the fashion industry from an environmentally sustainable point of view. So while I was at the Institute of American Indian Arts studying business and entrepreneurship, I had the opportunity to brand myself as an artist, and I really had a lot of fun with it. I was able to map out, how I wanted to present myself professionally and what kind of things I wanted to sell. I was able to think about things like company culture, company colors, my logo, my slogan, and I was able to build a website also and think about different things that I wanted to sell. So I decided at the time that I wanted to create a self-expression brand, I guess, home decor, clothing, accessories, stuff like that. So my brand is called Psyche Surrealism, and the slogan is Surrender to Art too. So this is one of my stickers of my logo. It's an alien skull. I call him Bonehead, and he's also my model as well right here that models my clothing at events. But this is my logo. He has the mark of creation, which is this spiral that I use throughout my work. This spiral to me represents our common ancestry, or our common creative force or spirit that lives within everyone. Everyone has the capacity to create and decorate themselves and create their own realities and really just be creative in general. So that's what my logo is. It's kind of a self-portrait of all of us. Here's another sticker that I have. It's a variation of my logo, but just with some houseplants on top with little eyeballs. I also have a sticker of a painting that I have sold already, but I'm glad I took pictures and made them into stickers because it's one of my favorite paintings. Again, it has the mark of creation in the center, eyeballs, which I love to draw, and just a hand. It's an interesting painting that I made back in the day, and I love having it as a sticker. This is my newest design that I actually made. It's a little saguaro cactus with some planets that I love drawing like wood grain pattern, so I did this one, and I also designed my own, Navajo pot down at the bottom, and yeah, I just, it represents my love of my culture, my inspiration that comes from my culture, as well as my love for plants, and, just the cosmos and design and pattern, and it's a beautiful design that I am happy I created. Here we have some examples of upcycled clothing that I make. Bonehead is wearing one of my designs, and I usually take him with me to events and just let him model. It's kind of like a way to capture people's attention, so they don't just walk by without noticing. And yeah, I go around to thrift stores and I find blank shirts in good condition, and I send them off to a local screen print shop, and sell them. I think it's good to recycle clothing because fast fashion is a problem, especially in consumer culture. People have too many clothes that they just throw away, and I'd rather just recycle old clothing and not contribute to the manufacturing of new clothing when we already have so much going to waste. Here's another example of an upcycled shirt with my design. It just has my logo. It's just a little classic logo shirt. Just a simple one for, people who don't like too flashy of clothing but still want to support the brand. And then this is another shirt with the Growing Minds design that I made. It's a little hard to see, but I also have, this tote bag that I made with the same design. Hopefully it's a little better to see. But yeah, it's part of my company culture to be environmentally aware and environmentally sustainable. So, I obviously find my clothing or my materials at thrift stores, but things like tote bags, they are new, but they encourage people to reuse, reduce, and recycle. So yeah, I also make tote bags, and here's another design of mine. It was back when I used to have a brand called ABQ Crew, and this is an example of how I started out. I originally wanted to display myself as ABQ Crew because I wanted to bring the community of Albuquerque together through art, and just I wanted to be community based, but I really decided that I needed to focus on myself and my own style before doing community initiatives. But in the future, I definitely would like to continue that passion of bringing the community together through art. And I sell prints too, but this is an example of a tote bag that I created from scratch with just scrap materials. And I love the idea of doing this. I did this while I was at an internship at Meow Wolf because I had access to a lot of materials and equipment that allowed me to just explore different art forms. And yeah, I really want to continue doing stuff like this. I just need to have this space and buy a sewing machine and get more familiar with how to use a sewing machine. But eventually this is where my brand will evolve to. I want to take different materials, obviously from thrift stores, recycled materials, and just create something new. Because I love the idea of giving old material a fresh new identity and a new life. started selling my work mainly at small events, like at galleries and at Art Walk and everything. But after attending the Institute of American Indian Arts, I was able to create my website, and that's really been allowing me to expand my customer base and reach people all across the country, so that people can easily just purchase my work online and not have to worry about DMing me or messaging me personally. They can just do it all from the comfort of their own phone or computer and purchase my work, and I can deliver it anywhere in the country. And that's really been a game changer for me. It's allowed me to learn a lot about just branding, marketing, business ownership, and it's allowed me to grow as a small business owner. So when I first started tattooing, I was mostly just tattooing myself because I was a college student at the time and I didn't have a lot of money to pay any artist to tattoo me, but I was really fascinated with body art and expressing yourself through body art. I also was really fascinated with the art form and the technique of doing it. So I did a lot of research and I tried it out. I hand-poked my own legs, and from there I was gifted a tattoo machine from a partner of mine, and that really helped me get good at doing bigger and larger pieces. So after practicing a lot on myself, as well as a couple select friends who were willing to let me practice on them, I started to expand my clientele, and I mainly do it on friends because I think they trust me a little more and they're more interested in my art style. But I've been expanding. A lot of people like my artwork in general, so they also naturally would love to have some art on their bodies from me. Tattooing is a respectable art form at the time. At this time, it seems like everyone wants tattoos nowadays. So it's really fun to just decorate with people's bodies. I only use designs that I've created myself. I don't steal or copy designs from the internet or from people I know. I take inspiration, but I always make designs from scratch, and I just feel like original designs matter, and I don't copy designs, or I don't duplicate designs. I only do each design on one person and then move on and create more, just because I feel like body art is very individual and self-expression, a way of self-expression, and I wouldn't want someone to have the same tattoo as another person because it's just inauthentic at that point in my eyes. So yeah, I use a lot of, I only use original designs that I make myself, and I don't duplicate designs. In terms of clients, I've been expanding my clientele to coworkers and people on the internet who like my stuff, who are willing to travel to me. But at this point, I really want to do it the right way and get an apprenticeship and learn from a professional tattoo artist who's been practicing their craft for years. And I'm currently just putting together a portfolio of my work so that I can take it into a shop and hopefully get an apprenticeship and start working full-time as a professional licensed tattoo artist. Great. So some examples of tattoo designs that I create. I like to do flash sheets like this. Flash sheets are pretty much just a collection of designs that people can choose from. Traditionally, they're just on the wall of a tattoo shop, and people are able to pick from the wall whatever they like. So I have this one of my first flash sheets that I made. It's Southwest themed, and I added a lot of imagery related to the Southwest and living in the Southwest, as well as things inspired by my own culture, my own art style, and things like that. And this is another example of a flash sheet that I did. This one was inspired by sci-fi. I was reading sci-fi books at the time, and I really just love including alien imagery in my work. So this was kind of inspired by that. We have like an androgynous person coming out of some water wearing a spiked chain. We've got a saguaro-inspired cactus in a pot. Some planets over here. This island. I used to draw islands a lot when I was younger, so I did an island. Lava lamp. It kind of gives you like science fiction vibes, and then just some natural elements with cool wood grain pattern. And yeah, this is an example of a flash sheet that I make. So this is a business card that I designed, and it has my company color, which is orange. It has my logo in the center, the bonehead boy with a mark of creation in the center. It's got my name on there and my profession, which is artist. And on the back of the card, I just have some basic information about me. I've got my brand name, Psyche Surrealism, some mediums that I work with, painting, illustration, and graphic design. And then I have my contact information, including my website, my Instagram, and my email.
Action.
So 5 years from now, I have a lot of goals that I want to accomplish. One of which just making a full-time, a full living off of my artwork. I hope to have finished my apprenticeship in tattooing and be working in a shop full-time. I hope to be growing my brand and continuing all my side projects like painting, clothing, upcycling, graphic design. All of that I want to continue working on. So yeah, ultimately I would just love to own my own tattoo studio in the future where I could employ other artists who tattoo. I could have a gallery space to display my own work as well as upcoming local artists. I would love to have that studio also be like a retail store for my work. I would also love to include somehow like a coffee shop because I love coffee and coffee culture. I would also I just want it to be a multi-use space where I can give people and other artists and musicians a space to share their work as well. And in terms of my brand, I'm going to continue doing all of the things that I love to do, whether it's painting, designing clothing, upcycling stuff, graphic design, all of that I love to do. And I just hope to, continue doing that, make more inventory, and keep meeting new people who like my work.